What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we're talking about the ban list. We are probably, I would say, officially in ban list season. I mean, we're less than 2 weeks away from the no sooner than date, which just, there's no telling on when we get it from there. But we've seen Konami release what the ban list is going to be prior to that date. So I want to get this video out now just so I have my predictions out there. So that doesn't happen. That doesn't come out before I get a chance to put my predictions out there. So I just want to get these over with and just get them out to you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Keep in mind, guys, my mindset on this real quick before we get into that. Keep in mind my mindset is we saw what happened with the last ban list. No cards hit, just 3 cards moved off the list, right? So I've adjusted my expectations to kind of fit that much more, if that makes sense. Like, I still have 2 things getting hit, but it's a very, very small ban list because I don't expect Konami to go crazy, if at all. And I also won't be surprised this time because we just saw it happen. If Konami says, we're not having any major events, we're not having anything real, this isn't a real format, and doesn't hit anything, but maybe moves a couple things off. We'll see. I have some hopefuls, though. So, starting us off with the ban section, let's just get into it with Link Cross, okay? This is the first card I have getting hit here. I think this is just like too big a part of just like too many decks that like it shouldn't be. It's too generic, it's too good. We've seen it played in anything that plays needle fiber and things that don't play needle fiber. It's incredibly strong. And then it's just being played in Emancipator. Synchro Eldritch, which in my opinion is still the best version of Eldritch. We see Infernoble Knights, and the last, like, I guess top 4 decks is like maybe Dogmatica Invoked, and that's the only deck that doesn't play Link Cross in the top best decks. I don't think they want to hit Needle Fiber yet, so if I think they're going to hit something there, it's Link Cross. The one thing I will say on this card, though, opposing that me thinking that it hopefully could get hit, is Infernoble Knights just came out, and they're a meta contender, a legit tier 1 contender. We saw in the OCG, when Link Cross got banned, the Infernoble Knights almost fell off the map completely competitively. Now, I'm not entirely sure that that's the case if like it can't be built competitively, but I think if Konami wants to keep value in not just Rise of the Duelist, but also Toon Chaos, they may not want to hit this card just yet, but I think this is the card that will when it's time. I'm hoping it's now, but I also think there are reasons why they won't. So I'm kind of hopeful on this, but I also think like it makes sense for where the game is. So Link Cross, the only banned card I have on here. Now, the only other card I have actually getting hit is actually a limited card, which is Block Dragon. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Block Dragon before. Last ban list, I talked about it. Didn't see any hits. I thought it should have just been banned. It's just way, way, way too good. And I still think it's insane. And I honestly still think it should be banned. But I don't think it will. I mean, we learned from the last ban list. I'm not a fool. I'm not going to say it twice in a row like this card should be banned. 2 ban lists in a row. I think to 1 is fine at least. It gives some kind of cap on Emancipator, so they're not constantly opening Block Dragon, because when they open Block Dragon is when it is just the worst, right? They don't have to use extenders to bring him out. He's just there, and you think you got them, you think you've stopped them with Disruption, and then they're just like, reveal Block Dragon, and then they literally go full combo right after that, and you're just like, wow, I stopped nothing, and now I die. So it's just crazy. It's a card that searches 3, and those cards get you pluses. So like it's actually like a +5 in some senses. So it's just insane, right? So I think this card to 1 is better because it just means like if they're going to get the Block Dragon, they're going to most of the time have to go through Gallant Grant or Union Carrier, which is a little less busted overall. So I think Block to 1 makes sense. I don't think it kills out Emancipator at all. Doesn't even hurt Megalith because they only play 1 generally. So like that's a really cool deck that's been popping up meta-wise there, and I think 1 kind of makes sense for right now. But if it doesn't get hit, again, I won't be surprised. We've seen the last ban list that did nothing. So if nothing happens, but maybe a couple of cards come off, I won't be surprised. But those are the 2 cards I hope get hit. I think that would do a good job at just like stopping some of the degeneracy going on in the game right now, and helping these new decks like combat other than Infernobles, I guess, because they might just die with Link Cross. But Link Cross is just being abused in too many things that the decks aren't even like individual now. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they're just needle fiber abuse decks. So I don't know. Those are the only 2 cards I have getting hit, but I do have some cards moving off the list as well, because that's what we saw last time. We saw 3 cards move, and that's what I did this time. Pick 3 cards to move off the list in some capacity. The first one is Scapegoat to 2. Now I know what you're saying, John, to 2? Come on, to 2? Listen, okay? We've seen this somewhat before. We saw stuff like super polymerization go from none to 1 to 2 to 3. Now, Scapegoat never went to none, well, at least this time, but it went to 1, and it sat at 1 for a while. Nobody wants to play it, but when you think about Link Cross or Scapegoat, you think about like, oh man, there's a lot of tokens, that's pretty busted. Not when it takes you 2 turns to do. As well as it's like pretty easy to bait out, force out your opponent. You have to chain Scapegoat, and then your opponent can just run over all the tokens in the battle phase, right? They can neutralize this fairly easily given the situation. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm just saying, like, when this card was out, people were scared of it. If Trickstars resolved it, it felt like Block Dragon resolving, right? Like, it almost had that same feeling, but the game is so much faster now. Going second, this card is terrible. Going first, this card is okay if you have enough defense to like stop your opponent, and then this card gives you like the big power push on the next turn, then it can be good, but like that's about it. So I really think this card could go to 3, 100%, but it kind of has a Super Poly-esque feel to it, where Konami might be like, let's put it to 2, see how it does, and go from there. So I'm going to put this at 2 for now. I think it's a card that can totally just come off to a 3, and I hope it does, you know what I mean? Like, I think it'd be a cool card to see some strategies still want to play it, but yeah, Scapegoat to 2. Next up, we have Tour Guide coming to 3. This one's on a lot of people's radars. I mean, we saw Tour Guide go from 1 to 2, I believe 2 ban lists ago, maybe 3, can't remember. But yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things, like, if Konami wants to, like, help other decks, like, this is something that helps a lot of different decks. It helps Unchained, potentially, certain builds of how you build Unchained. Specifically, BA is the biggest one. BA is definitely the biggest one here. Also stuff like Lair of Darkness, it's like pseudo support for. And any other deck that just says level 3 Fiends, I don't think there are a ton other ones out there, but those are the 3 like big ones. And this is just nice. It's a really strong starter card for them. So like, why not? You know what I mean? I think it makes sense. I don't think this card's busted. It's weak to like every hand trap under the sun, and yeah, so many people love it. This is a lot of people's like favorite card. So Tour Guide from the Underworld, going to 3. I'm calling it now. And the last card I have moving from the ban list is Dynamite Knight, the true Draco fighter. There's really not much to say here either. I think this card to me has like the exact same feel that like Multi-Faker had. And Multi-Faker went from 1 to 3 on the last ban list. True Draco. It was like a perennial, like at least tier 2 deck for a while. That's kind of where Altergeist has been sitting. Like nowadays, like this, they obviously can't move Masterpiece. I wouldn't say they can move Masterpiece. I don't think they can afford. I don't think they want to move Card of Demise anytime soon. So I think the only other thing they can really do for True Draco, just move Dynamite Knight to 3. I think that's fine. Like it kind of just power creeps out Majesty Maiden from the list. So you play like Dynamite Knight and oh man, the one that is like him but for spells. I can't remember his name. Ignis Heat. Yeah, Ignis Heat I think is his name. Ignis Heat and Dynamite Knight, but you don't have to play Majesty Maiden. Maybe you play her at 1, but you know, you can filter her out because these are the ones you really want to be getting to because they get you the better kind of advantage you're looking for in a deck like this. But yeah, I think it'd just be nice for the deck. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it changes the meta. Maybe they can compete a little bit easier on tier 2 a little bit more consistently, but you know, I just think it's cool. There's a lot of True Draco fans out there, and I don't think anybody would really be mad about it. So I think Dynamite makes a lot of sense. But that's it. 5 cards moving, 2 cards getting hit, 3 cards coming off. I think it's a very minimalistic ban list, but I think if they were going to decide, you know what, we didn't do anything last time, I think our players are going to get impatient and upset with us if we do not hit anything. So they might just hit small things. And if anything, I think those are 2 hits that make a lot of sense. And I know that what you might be thinking, John, there's a couple cards you missed. Well, I'm going to talk about a couple cards right now that I didn't really mention before. First off is Zexel. Numerons are not that good, okay? I think we have learned very quickly that Numeron is not the best version of Eldritch. Numeron is not the best version of Generator. Numeron Subterror may be the best version of Subterror, because Subterror doesn't really work with other things, so like it might just appreciate the additional engine that doesn't have to like conflict with it very much, like at all. So they might appreciate that, but like that's it. Maybe Subterror, but like every other deck just like doesn't care, and so not doesn't care, but like it's not the best version of it in my opinion. So why would you play Zexel? Like why would you play the Numeron stuff? It's not the best version. So I just don't think we're learning that it's not that crazy. It's not that scary. There are still going to be people playing it, but it's just not that good. It has very specific outs to it, but there's a lot of them, right? Imperm, Ogre, Gamma, like all that stuff is like the most played hand traps in the game right now. So like not scared. So yeah. Next up is anything Eldritch. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like if they do anything, I would not be crazy surprised if they put like Scarlet Sanguine to 2. It limits their grind game. It limits their ability to open up like the best starter in their deck, going first at least. And I think it's fine. Like, I think some of the problem, like the weakness, like the thing with Eldritch is not that Eldritch is insanely good. It's the thing that Eldritch just works with so many things. It doesn't use its normal summon, so it just works with supplementing like any other like deck, really, like any other deck core, and so that's why they're so good. But like it's hard to hit them on the ban list. Like I guess if they hit anything, it's got to be Sanguine. And if they do, I won't be surprised. But yeah, I just want to mention that. I decided not to put it on there because I don't think they'll do much on the ban list. So I want to keep it minimalistic. Next up is Smoke Grenade of the Thief. This is another one that I thought was really interesting because this card is completely degenerate. The problem with this card is not only does it rip cards, which is already degenerate as hell in Yu-Gi-Oh, but you get to look at your opponent's hand and then rip, which means not only do you get to pick the best card to rip out of their hand, but you also get knowledge of their entire hand. You know what deck they're playing, not just what deck they're playing, the entire makeup of their hand. You know exactly how to set up disruptions so that you know they can't play through it because you know what's in their hand. And so that's why this card is just too much, but it's also really new. And like I said, if you're already hitting Link Cross, Infernobles might not survive anyway, which means this card may not survive after that anyway, so you may not even need to hit it. So I left it off the ban list for that reason, but still something to keep in mind. I won't be surprised if it gets hit. And I believe the last thing I'm going to talk about here is Mystic Mine. I mean, listen, I would love as much as the next guy for Mystic Mine to get banned, but it just isn't that apparent in the metagame right now. Like the top 4 decks really don't want to play Mystic Mine other than like a pure Eldritch variant, and a pure Eldritch variant I wouldn't even call tier 1. So yeah, it's like Strikers and pure Eldritch that want to actually use Mystic Mine. It's just not that prevalent in the metagame right now, and I don't think it needs to be. So I don't think people need to worry about, you know, it that much. So if we find ourselves in a format where this card is everywhere, then yeah, ban it. It's fine. But for now, I don't think they will. So I believe that is it for us. Oh, no, I haven't. No, I don't. All right. So that is it for my ban list discussion, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this ban list. My prediction list. Like, do you think I'm accurate? Do you think I'm off on some things? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. And peace.